Hi, friends. Welcome back to Winning Wellness. My name is Andreka Cochliat, and I am your content creator for wellness information. And you could join me at the functional forum I host at the public library at the boardroom. It would be on the Main Street side on May 13th from 5 to 6 p.m. That's Monday. And then the next functional forum networking event is going to happen Monday, June 10th from 7:30 to 8:30 in the boardroom at the Missoula Public Library on the Main Street side. And every Wednesday or every third Wednesday of the month, you can catch my show here on MCAT Winning Wellness. So today I wanted to talk about our CBC, the blood panel that we typically get. And the material I'm referencing is something you could find online, and I'm using it in the name of fair use. And I just think it's kind of helpful to go through it. And the CBC is usually pretty complicated, but it can be handy for seeing how you're doing. And from what my research kind of reveals to me is that a lot of people are struggling with low-grade infections. And what I've experienced in my appointments with doctors is they seem to operate from, if you are not, like if the test is like your cholesterol is 200, so now you're a high cholesterol patient and we gotta fill you full of statins. And it's interesting because when you're at, let's say, 100, it's like you turn into a pumpkin, according to my experiences with doctors. It's like they seem to consider the map is the territory, the test is the territory. The test is a reference point, and the job of a physician, a medical doctor, as a deliverable, as a conduit of deliverables to patients, is their job is to assess the symptoms of the client, the situation the clients are in, along with the testing, along with the other means of evaluation of the client. And I don't understand. I mean, I do. I think I do understand what's going on with the medical industry, but anyways, my goal is to go over the CBC and to try to do this as quick as possible. So, because this video is probably going to be about 30 some minutes. So here we have as a sample description, and this doctor is in Canada, so the American Medical Association, AMA, won't be able to annihilate her career for daring to discuss labs publicly, because the only way you can get an MD to go over this in a public forum is if you're taking their class. It's not something they display, where you could Google it. Anyways, so we have the CBC, and if you've been reading while I'm talking to you, it talks about your blood cells, and there is a range, and so as you can see, we have a range for your white blood cells. So your white blood cells have to do with your autoimmunity, and some tests are different. Uh, you know, so the I have another range uh, description here, and so as you can see, that one it says up to, let me see, 5 to 5, so 5 to, so optimal is 5 to 5.5 with blood cell count. So, and it says L. So, some of these lab ranges will have different measurements. So, and there's normal range and then there's optimal range, and that's what I'm trying to get out in terms of physicians, that physicians are just expecting us to settle for the base average, and who wants to just squeak by an existence where you're just struggling and can barely get out of bed in the morning. And it seems to me like we're being programmed and socialized that, oh, we're just not, oh, we're just not trying to never be lazy. It's human nature to not want to, keep doing more and more diarrhea or that is the low grade infections. And the only thing that medicine will do is vomit with antibiotics or chemo. Like, we don't know how to keep our organism in a thriving state. We know how to either kill it or maim it, like, and there are people, and I meet them often, where they're like, doctors are great, medicine is great, I'm doing so great. And those are people who also have really good support systems. They're coming from certain privileges. Because I must admit, like, of the people that I've met with who have a very fixed income, who have lost family and community support, they are not the people that are singing the praises of the medical industry, as far as I can tell. And of course, I could be wrong. But anyways, so I just think it's good to take a quick look at the CBC. Now, I have been trying to figure out, so we have the normal range, and what medicine, when they're doing studies, they take just a random population, and sometimes it's a bunch of young men, and so like, there's like, is the whole population young men? And what about 50, 60-year-old women live in climates where there's been lots of flooding, lots of mold? What about older women who have lived in lots of climate with lots of mold, who have been subject to prolonged domestic violence? Are their medical stats going to be different? It seems possible. And what about, living where there's Rocky Mountain spotted fever or other infectious vectors, where their results be different? So there's the normal range, which it may be skewed because what was considered normal is what young 18-year-old men, what's normal for young 18-year-old men, or this normal range is skewed because they didn't weed out these men who might have thyroid problems, or who have adrenal problems, or who have Lyme disease or whatever. So sick is then called normal because they're skewing the averages. So anyways, it seems, from what I understand in terms of our CBC, in terms of our white blood cell count, the optimal range is between 5 and 8. So there's a little way, in I understand, because this doctor is saying between 5 and 5.5, if I'm reading that right. Then the red blood cell count, this author is for women, between 4 and 5.2, and then 5 to 5.8. And this other more up-to-date version, it says the RBC should be between 3.9 and 4.4, or for men, 4.2 to 4.9. And that was the female, 3.9 to 4.4. So as you can see, so that's for blood cell count, and then hemoglobin. So it's interesting because it seems like nowadays, the past like 10 years, doctors don't do an anemia test. They seem to regard looking at the white blood cells, the blood cells, hemoglobin, that's the anemia test. But there is still an anemia test. And I had one, and I was determined anemic at that time. But anyways, in terms of hemoglobin, your hemoglobin is low in terms of the optimal functional range for women. Your hemoglobin is low if it's under 13.5. So 13.5 to 14.5, and for men between 14 and 15. Hematocrit is low if it's under 37. So for women, it should be 37 to 44. For men, 40 to 48. Then the NCV, let's see if that's missing, mean corpuscular volume. So that is how your blood cells are bigger and inflated, or kind of inflated, if I understand correctly. So it should be between 85 and 92 CU microns. Then the NCH should be between 27 and 32, and there's no gender issue here. And then the MCHC should be between 32 and 35. The RDW should be less than 13, according to my information. And I see that the numbers, yeah, so okay. And then the platelet count should be between 150,000 and 150,000. Neutrophils, so if you have neutrophils, that can have to do with germs and viruses. So it should be between 40 and 60%. So if it's higher than 60%, it means that there's something going on. There's possibly a low-grade infection. And in terms of all of people who are trying to regain their health from chronic fatigue syndrome, fibromyalgia, Lyme disease, it seems like there's these low-grade infections that may be having origins in like cavities, root canals, and also just stealth kind of bacterial infections from old staph infections in the sinuses. It seems like sinuses is also a big culprit. And the bile duct and liver, the gallbladder, and those are all very, like especially the bile duct and the gallbladder, those are small organs, and you have to really be careful about cleaning things out because, things can break. So, it's important to make sure all of your avenues of elimination are working, functioning, and that you're making sure to breathe fresh air and remove toxic exposures in your office, in your home, in your car, and exposing yourself to clean water, as much clean food as you can, and things like that. So, so the lymphocytes should be between 25 and 40, monocytes less than 7%, and these are just this is just more platelets kind of thing, and then eosinophils should be less than 3%. So, and these can indicate the presence of parasites, as I understand. And then the basophils should be 0 to 1%, and these can indicate, if it's higher than 1%, it can indicate bacteria, fungus, and viruses. And conventional practitioners would say, oh, it could be up to 3%. The eosinophils, oh, it could be up to 7%, but that's not healthy. Okay, and we were talking about, I was talking about anemia, iron, and so serum iron should be 500 mg/L. So those different measurements that I will get in. And then the CBC, I'm not sure what that is, but we're just going to keep moving on. The saturation index. So we'll just refer to this, the total iron binding level. So we maybe don't even have this in the United States because we're Americans. So it says the optimal here is 40 to 72. I don't know. Saturation index between 0.20 and 0.50. And ferritin, that's an important one because if it's too high or too low, so that's an indicator of a problem. So it should be between 70 and 90. And so, so this person's material is a little bit more forgiving than what I'm working from. So electrolytes are the salts the body uses, as I understand, so sodium, potassium, and chloride. And so glucose clearly is the sugars our body uses. And so I'll just, seems that the optimal functional range, okay, it's between 80 and 100 milligrams/dL. Hemoglobin A1C should be, I don't have the up-to-date ranges, but that one's a pretty well-known one. And so even if a conventional doctor, like even conventional ranges, I think are fairly adequate to letting you know. Sodium, it should be between 135 and 140 micromoles per L. Right. And there, so we've got that one finally matching up with this. And then potassium should be between 4 and 4.5. And then the ratio, let's see, should be, well, it says 30, so I don't have an option here. Chloride should be between 100 and 106. And I'm not sure what urea should be. So I'll just go with the optimal 3.57 and 4.6. Then we have creatinine. And I will just go with what they're saying, 61.9 and 115. I'm not sure what GFR is. I don't know if that's what something we do in the US. Calcium should be between 9.2 and 10.1 milligram DL. Phosphorus should be between 3.0 and 4.0 milligram DL. And I don't think we do ratios here, but it says on this that we're looking at should be between 2.3 and 2.7. Uric acid, urate should be between, so for men it should be between 3.7 and 6.0 mg/dl, and females it should be between 3.2 and 5.5 mg/dl. So total protein should be between 6.9 and 7.4 g/dl. Albumin should be between 4.0 and 5.0 g/dl. Globulin should be between 2.4 and 2.8 g/dl. Then the albumin globulin ratio should be between 1.5 and 2.0 units. Total bilirubin should be between 0.2 and 1.2 mg/dl. And then direct bilirubin maybe that's just done in Canada, so it looks like optimal is less than 10 umol L. Direct bilirubin up to 8 umol L, and then alkaline phosphatates should be between 70 and 90 UL. Then amylase, I think amylase is an enzyme, so I don't think I've ever had that test, or not that I can recall, but it says here between 30 and 110 UL. And then the GGT, here it says 3.5 UL. And then on my list here, gamma glutamyl transferase, I have a GGTP score that should be between 10 and 26. So that seems about right. So the ALT should be between 10 and 26 UL. The AFD should be between 10 and 26 UL. And then the LD should, I'm going to follow what this says, between 300 and 450 UL in the cardiovascular information. So that is a very good progress to be made about cholesterol education. Cholesterol is the building blocks. It's like the nails that keep our body together. So when we do have, and also when we do have high cholesterol, that can be an indicator of thyroid problems, and thyroid problems is epidemic in our culture. So, and here we are in the thyroid section. So, in terms of TSH, so TSH should be between, according to my latest figures, between 1.3 and 1.8, or 1.5 and 2.2. And I believe the first four is for females. And then the free T4, FT4 should be between 1.2 and 1.3. And I'm also going to mention a couple other tests that really should go on and really seem to be very difficult to access. Free T3 should be between 3.2 and 3.3 pg/ml. And then the resin T3 uptake should be between 28 and 38 mg/ml. Then the total T4, or the TT4, also known as TT4, should be between 5.4 and 1.5 mg/ml. Then the free thyroxine index, or the FTI, should be between 1.2 and 4.9 mg/ml. Thyroxine binding globulin, or the TBG, should be between 18 and 27 mg/ml. Then the TPO antibody, the auto antibodies indicating the immune system is attacking the thyroid, should be less than 15. And there's also okay, I'm just going. So the reverse T3 should be also that's tough to consider, and I don't have the score here as well. And there's also TRH, which is thyroid releasing hormone. Now, I don't want to say, hey, take all these tests. They are just good to be aware of when, you just get the TSH and people are like, oh, you're fine. Your TSH is average because they put a wide range for what's called the average. And then CRP is a pretty popular, pretty well-known test so it should be under 0.29. So, and vitamin D, vitamin D really should, it should be in the serum. And then your optimal energy and sense of well-being, mood. Yeah, so that's the end of that list. So we are at the 31 mark. So I just want to also mention folate is a worthwhile test. B12 is also a good test. Um, if you're really gung-ho on zinc and copper, and then there's a zinc copper ratio. So, and then you can also go into hormone testing when facing difficult, like non-responsive treatment. Let's say you're taking a lot of hormones, supplements, um, uh, steroids, and you're not getting a whole lot of results. And my latest theory on that is that if there's untreated low-grade infection, hormones are just going to maybe address the surface layer, but if your system is chronically fighting infections, that wears out your immune system. And what I'm learning about is your mitochondria. So your mitochondria are generate energy for the body, and apparently they communicate with each other. And so if there is a low grade self-infection going on, your mitochondria are saying, stop producing energy, go on defense. So the mitochondria is kind of conserving itself and in defense mode. And so, from what I understand, is like we want to remove toxic exposures, whether it's, you know, toxic things in your food, clothing, shelter, water, air, or people, your own thoughts, radiation, Wi-Fi exposure, electromagnetic exposure, pesticide exposure. So you want to reduce all of these external toxins, and then you also want to get rid of any internal low-grade infections, whether it's a little bit of something going on in your root canal, or a staph infection like chronic sinusitis, or chronic skin infections, whatever it may be. So it seems to me that if you address that, then your mitochondria will stop signaling that you're under attack. So if you've taken care of external environments, taking care of your internal environments, that gives your mitochondria a little bit of a rest. And of course, you want to make sure that you're getting good sleep, you're sleeping in a dark environment, you're getting fresh air, the temperature is cool enough for you to be able to fall asleep, that your linens are clean, that you don't have a whole lot of dust in your space. And here in Missoula, I do think that the forest fires really make it very unhealthy for people, because there's just all this particulate matter. And even though we may have one summer where it's not too smoky, all of that ash is still it's still kind of around, and we don't get a whole lot of rain. And I wonder if that is like a low grade stress on our immune system. So, join me at the library. Again, it's going to be happening May 13th from 5 p.m. to 6 at the boardroom, which is on the Main Street side. And then on June, it's also happening on the 10th on Monday, so both of those on Monday from 7:30 to 8 p.m. And you can reach me. I have a Facebook page, Post-Traumatic Growth, and I have also working on a website which will be called Wellness Whisperer. And you can also find me on, like I said, Facebook.